Welcome to Triumph IAS. It's a daily mains practice question and answer series. This program is exclusively designed for UPSC CSE aspirants. In this video discussion, we will discuss UPSC CSE mains previous 25-year questions. Question number 1. To what extent globalization has influenced the core of cultural diversity in India? Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Globalization may influence the culture of a society both positively and negatively. It can result into homogenization of culture, or it can produce a hybrid culture, which represents elements of many distinct cultures. The main body of the answer should be number 1. Indian culture is rich in diversity and has evolved over centuries. Globalization has led to concentration of population in the urban centers, resulting into spread of urban way of life. Number 2. Urbanization fueled by globalization has resulted into decline in joint family system and nuclear families are on rise. Number 3. With mushrooming of shopping malls and multiplex, the culture of spending is being promoted. Globalization has also led to diffusion of cuisines. The availability of American and European cuisine has increased in major cities. Number 4. Indian cuisines have also got the attention of world population. In music, amalgamation of various cultures has generated indie pop genre. Number 5. With advent of globalization, English language has spread at an unprecedented rate. English is fast replacing the vernacular languages as language of communication. Number 6. In urban areas, most of the families these days talk in English even at homes. But it has a positive dimension, where it had led to Indians excelling in the services sector of the economy. Number 7. Globalization to an extent has changed the racial demography to an extent with decreasing numbers of Mongoloid race. Migration from northeast side of India has to an extent changed the demography of Indian races. Number 8. Globalization has brought many aspects of distinct cultures into the market. For example, yoga and Ayurveda that were once confined to India has spread over the entire world. Conclusion of the answer is, however, it can be said that despite of all its predatory characteristics, the indigenous culture of India and its cultural diversity has sustained the invasion of globalization. Question number 2. The reservation of seats for women in the institutions of local self-government has had a limited impact on the patriarchal character of the Indian political process. Comment. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. 1/3 of all seats in the institutions of local governance, in the rural areas and municipal councils and corporations in the urban areas are reserved for women, as are 1/3 of the positions of chairperson at every level. The main body of the answer should be number 1. Women who enter representative bodies, including panchayats, generally belong to influential families including politicians, and may be surrogates for the men who cannot themselves contest due to the reservation. Number 2. Family and political connections are believed to help women at every step from the decision, not always an independent decision taken by women themselves, to contest, to getting successfully elected. Number 3. On the other hand, underprivileged women often face threats of violence when they have dared to express their intention to contest elections. Number 4. Violence against women representatives is generally worse when they also happen to belong to a scheduled caste or tribe group. Number 5. Women representatives face many social confronts including restrictions on going out of the house, lack of literacy and education, the household chores of fetching water and fodder, cooking and raising children that affect their performance in office. Number 6. It is true that many women are nominated by their husbands, fathers and father-in-law to take advantage of the quota, which made it difficult for the man to contest the election himself. Conclusion of the answer is: in some cases, election materials, banners, posters, and etc. are made in the name of the man rather than the woman who is the official candidate, and that the man tends to assume the role of the pradhan or sarpanch, attending and even chairing the meeting in place of the elected women representative. The phenomenon of proxy or surrogate representation was, thus, prevalent in many places. Question number 3. Account for the failure of manufacturing sector in achieving the goal of labor-intensive exports rather than capital-intensive exports. Suggest measures for more labor-intensive rather than capital-intensive exports. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Data from the Annual Survey of Industries, ASI, indicates that during the last decade the capital and skill-intensive industries have grown at a much faster rate when compared to the labor-intensive industries. The main body of the answer should be: number 1. The factors responsible for the failure of manufacturing sector in achieving the goal of labor-intensive exports are declining competitiveness of Indian products in some of the labor-intensive sectors. Number 2. The Economic Survey, 2016 to 2017, highlighted how India is losing out in labor-intensive sectors like apparel and footwear. Number 3. Investment in manufacturing has been largely remained limited to capital-intensive sectors instead of labor-intensive sectors. Underutilization of available resources. Indian firms in the apparel and leather sectors are smaller than those in China, Vietnam and Bangladesh. Number 4. Suggest measures for more labor-intensive exports. Number 5. Small-scale and medium-scale industries can be given interest-free loans and tax holidays. India needs structural changes to attain higher and sustainable exports growth in labor-intensive sectors. Number 6. India will need to work on increasing competitiveness to expand its exports share in the world market. India needs to improve logistics to increase efficiency, both in terms of the time and costs involved. Government should urgently push the reforms required in the factor market. Number 7. It should also look for opportunities to reduce trade barriers at the regional and bilateral levels. Food processing industry must be highlighted, leading to huge jobs at local level. Conclusion of the answer is: it will be important to keep the currency competitive. Policymaker needs to increase the pace of reforms as challenges on the export front may increase owing to the growing threat of protectionism and rising automation.